An alpha vampire walks into a small town debt auction and buys a terrified family of 6 in one bid. By dawn, the town's rules and its secrets are in ashes. If a monster shows more mercy than the humans in charge, who's the real threat? Snow fell before sunrise, thin as flour dust. Mara Vale tied her apron. A white streak split her dark braid like a bolt of ice. People stared and whispered. They called it bad luck. She kept her eyes down and went to the bakery. Heat met her at the oven door. The room smelled of rye and apple. Dough rose with soft sighs. Her hands moved with care. She cut even slices, braided crusts, and tapped loaves for the hollow note. No one praised her. Mrs. Dedham spoke past her to the boy. "Tell her to slice it thin," she said. Home held 6 in 2 rooms. Mama's cheeks were hollow. The twins, Finn and Faye, argued over a cracked toy. Dorian lined up clock gears. Baby Tansy coughed. Mara warmed tea, rubbed Tansy's back, and drew star maps for the twins. Mama tugged at Mara's cap. "Hide that white hair," she said. Mara smiled, but it stung. Her family loved her, yet they did not see her. Mara had a quiet gift. She listened to rooms the way others hear music. She knew when rain was an hour away. She knew dough by the breath it made. She knew what a body needed by the heat of a hand. The town did not care. It counted chalk marks at the company store. Debt spread like frost. At dusk, a hammer struck their door. The sheriff nailed a paper crooked and kept his hat on. "Auction tonight," he said. "Tithe for those in arrears." Mama sagged. The twins went still. Dorian clenched his jaw. Mara folded the paper and set it on the table. Her hands trembled, but her voice did not. "We go together," she said. "No one splits us." She braided her hair tight and did not hide the white streak. She wrapped Tansy in a blanket and led her family into the cold. The square burned with lantern light. Ropes hung from the platform where they once crowned a May Queen. The auctioneer called, "Lot 3, the Vales." He spoke of strong backs and a sick child as if listing parts. Mara stepped forward. "We are a family," she said. "We stay as one." The crowd snickered. The sheriff smirked. The gavel lifted. Silence fell. A man in a dark coat walked through the gap like night learning to shine. His ring caught the light. His eyes were pale as winter sky. He held out a page sealed in black wax with a wolf crest. "I will take the lot," he said. The crowd hissed the name Valen. The auctioneer nodded. The ropes fell from their wrists. Valen looked at Mara. "You come as you are," he said. "All of you." Fear and a spark rose in Mara's chest. It felt like a door opening. She raised her chin. "We go together," she said. She stepped off the platform and followed him toward the trees, into a world the town feared, and she did not yet understand. The road to Thorn Keep bent like a river of ice. Pines leaned close. Fog hung low and silver, no higher than Mara's knees. The air smelled like wet stone and roses. When they reached the cliff, the house rose from the rock as if grown there. Dark towers touched the clouds. Windows glowed warm as coals. Doors opened without a hand. Inside, light fell in soft pools. Ceilings arched like the inside of shells. A greenhouse shimmered behind glass, full of white flowers that opened when Valen walked by. A woman waited with a staff of living wood. Her hair was pale as frost. Her eyes were kind and sharp. "I am Leora," she said. "I keep the old ways." Her voice soothed Tansy's cough at once. She gave Dorian a box of fine tools. She led the twins to a hall where shadows played tag and always let them win. She turned to Mara last. "You feel it, child," she said. "Let's show you." The greenhouse held a thin pool that mirrored the sky. Leora knelt with Mara and touched the water. Cold moved like a ring. Stars bloomed on the surface, though it was daytime. "The mark in your hair is not a flaw," Leora said. "It is a thread. Your line once helped build this house. You are weird marked. You hear things stone remembers?" Mara stared at her reflection. The white streak shone brighter. Not like light, but like memory waking up. At night, Valen walked the east garden. Snow made the hedges look like sleeping animals. His steps made no sound. When Mara joined him, the white roses opened in their sleep. His breath did not fog the air. Hers rose in soft clouds. "You should fear me," he said gently. "Many do." Mara looked at his hands. They were cool, not cold. They held no shake. "I do not," she said. Something warm moved between them, slow as a tide. He smiled with a sadness that felt honest. Days slid by like silk. Thornkeep taught them. The twins learned to race the echo of their feet. Dorian fixed a clock that sang at noon. Mama stitched curtains that smelled of mint. Tansy slept through the night. Mara stood under a painted ceiling of constellations and hummed one low note. The stars on the paint shifted. A path formed toward the east tower. Leora nodded. "There it is," she said. "Your ear for maps." The threat came with a torn branch on the north fence. Deer did not do that. Men did. Leora read tracks with a frown. "Rivals," she said. "They hear an alpha gave shelter to Tithe. Old packs don't like new rules." That night, a raven dropped a red thread at the gate. The thread smelled like iron. Valen burned it without a word. Leora brought out a cracked folio. Inside lay ink like dried wine. The drawing showed an alpha and a snow-marked woman, hands joined over a bowl of water, ash and rose. "An oath of hearth," Leora said. "Older than taxes, older than shops that sell people. If sworn, the house obeys the heart of the marked one. Enemies cannot cross a true home." Mara traced the lines. Her hand shook. Valen's eyes were winter sky and storm. "This would bind us," he said. "It would also call fire." Mara felt the pull like a rope around her ribs. The pool in the greenhouse rippled without wind. Somewhere beyond the trees, the old world turned its head to listen. Snow crusted the path like sugar glass when the sheriff came back. He brought a black carriage with room for one and a paper with seals. Mama stood beside him with her hands in her shawl. Her face was pale. "For our sake," she whispered. "Come home, Mara. The town will forgive the debt if you do as they say." The sheriff nodded as if he were kind. "Step in. We will sort the rest." Behind the gate, Thornkeep held its breath. Roses did not open. The air was tight. Mara looked at the carriage, then at Mama, then at the house. She could hear water in the walls. She could hear her own name echo back from stone. "I am not a coin to trade," she said softly, "and I will not leave them." She meant her family. She meant Valen. She meant the house. That night, the rivals sent men to the north fence again. They did not bow. They grinned with sharp teeth and old laws. "No alpha keeps tithe," one said. "Give up the mortals. Keep your pride." Valen stood on the steps with his coat open and his hands empty. His voice was cool and clear. "I keep what I call home." They laughed and left marks on the gate to show they would return. Inside, Leora moved like a quiet clock. She set bowls on the table. She set iron on the sill. "They will press from both sides now," she said. "Human and not." Her eyes went to Mara's hair. "The oath will draw fire. It will also make a shield." Valen found Mara in the moonroom. The painted stars glowed in the low light. He told her a story he had never told. "I loved once," he said. "I was young and proud and thought I could share the dark and keep the hunger tame. I turned her. I failed her. She burned with thirst until there was nothing left of her name. I buried an empty ring." He did not look away. "Since then, I keep my teeth in my mouth. I swore I would never bind a life to this curse." His voice shook one time, like a string plucked and left to fade. "Then I heard you in that square. Your voice was steady. You said family like it was a light. I wanted that light near my door." Mara's heart hurt in a clean way. "I will not be turned," she said. "I will be me." He nodded. "Then we bind the house to you, not you to my hunger." Morning brought a basket from town. The bakery boy carried it. His eyes stayed on the ground. "Safe passage," said the note pinned to his cuff. He gave news with a flat voice. "They moved your mother to the rectory. The magistrate says the twins must serve if you don't return. Dorian to the mill. The baby? They say it is not worth the cost." Ash dusted his sleeve. Pitch stained his thumb. Torches waited in a shed, and he knew it. After he left, the house felt cold. Mara climbed to the moon room and looked up. For a long minute, the stars were only paint. No map. No path. She pressed her fist to her mouth so the twins would not hear her cry. She thought of a narrow bed in town with no windows. She thought of roses turning to ash. She thought of the pool that showed stars at noon. She felt torn clean down the middle. She went to the east steps at dawn. Frost cracked under her heel. Valen stood there already, as if he had kept watch all night. His eyes were the color of ice over deep water. "If we begin," he said, "there is no path back to the old life." Mara looked past him to the house, to her family asleep behind warm doors, to the forest where rivals paced. She touched the white seam in her hair. It felt like a line drawn by a steady hand. "The old life did not keep us safe," she said. "The new one might." She lifted her chin. Her voice did not shake. "I choose the oath. I choose the change. I choose home." Leora drew the circle at first light. Salt made a ring. 4 iron nails marked the corners. A brazier burned clean. On a table sat 4 bowls. Water, ash, crushed rose, and one for blood. Mara stepped in barefoot. Her white streak shone like a thread. Valen faced her with sleeves rolled. Calm as ice over a spring. Leora sang, "Hearth binds hunt, hunt guards hearth." Outside, torches moved through pines, and rivals watched the ridge. The first door boomed under a ram. The twins held hands. Mama prayed. Dorian gripped a clock key. Tansy slept. Mara pricked her finger with a thorn. A dark drop fell. She tipped water over it. Silver ripples spun. She dusted ash. It went soft. She crushed rose and let the red sink. The fire leaned as if to hear. The door splintered. Men rushed the hall with smoke and shouts. Leora's song rose. Blood chooses blood. Breath answers breath. Valen cut his palm and held it over the flame. His blood hissed. "If I fall, finish it," he whispered. A shot cracked. Valen stepped between Mara and the muzzle. The bullet tore his shoulder and dropped him to a knee. Blood darkened the floor. The circle flickered. The flame guttered. "Now!" the sheriff yelled. Boots pounded the stairs. A rival smashed a window. Roses clawed his face. He laughed. Mara caught Valen's wrist. "Stand with me." Their hands joined over the bowl. Heat and cold met. The house shivered. She spoke, low and sure. "I, Mara of the Snowbrand, bind my blood to this hearth. Enemies who cross to harm shall choke on ash, swallow water, and burn their own hands. This house is home. This Alpha is beloved. Light lifted from the boards like steam. The white in her hair brightened to daybreak. Her hearing widened. She counted every breath. Floorboards arched like a spine waking. Nails rose like thorns. Windows thickened to shields. Torches outside sagged into wet ropes. The sheriff stumbled, spitting gray. Men dropped pistols that blistered their palms. On the ridge, rivals tried to leap and found the air sharp as wire. Valen stood, blood running, and bared his teeth. The house leaned with Mara. Together, they were one answer. She set her marked hand on the iron rose. "You do not cross," she said. The door held like a wall of light. The men broke and fled through slush and shame. Silence settled. Leora bound Valen's shoulder. The twins picked crystal blossoms from the floor. Mama pressed her forehead to Mara's. Dorian's clock sang noon. They stood on the balcony as the storm cleared. The town lay small. The forest shone. Mara's hair blew free. Valen's smile was unguarded. He looked like a man who had learned to stay. The house breathed with her. Once she hid under a cap and counted chalk on a wall. Now she raised her hand, and windows woke, and roses opened to the sun. She belonged, and the world knew it.